Hugo Phelan recently gave an interview in which he said he would like to see up to $10 billion traded every day in DeFi. Not in centralized finance, but in DeFi worth F assets and other places where Flare is going down. That means Flare could be a great chance right now. Let's take a look at this CoinMarketCap FLR if you want to get into. We were only at 1 cent, It's now time for 2 cents. It's still early, very early, ladies and gents. But look at this market cap number. As it stands, the FDV supply is 65 billion, the total supply is 103 billion, and the market cap is 1.26 billion. To give you an idea, XRP is 142 billion. It would be about 130 to 125 times what Flare is now. That means a lot of room for growth and chance. I love seeing Brad think of new ideas all the time. He talked about insurance there. Did you get that? There haven't been many changes or news stories from Ripple in that area of insurance. That means for sure there are some things coming up. Also, Brad's talk about taking 10 years to finish all of this is interesting. Do you remember where they came from and where they are now? We started by making it easier to send money across borders. Then we moved on to private ledgers and digital money issued by central banks. As soon as we knew we had some of the best tools for the job, we moved on to tokenization. We switched to stable coins. We then moved on to government bonds and other types of partnerships. When you look at Cardano, you want to work with Ripple right now. You can see that Chainalysis is now working with Ripple. Who's next? What is the next thing that is going to be said? Now you know that SoHi can work with the XRP system. Many things are taking place and the XRP system will hold a lot of value. Kevin O'Leary says that crypto will be the 12th part of the economy. Look at this. In 5 years, crypto will be the 12th most important part of the economy because it helps so many other areas and is great for digital payments. Think about what took place when Robinhood bought WonderFi. You no longer need to go through a bank to send money across the line. It's crazy. They did that before Wonderfly, so they could have. Really? He really enjoys promoting his own work. But hey, I guess that's why he's so rich. XRP has been around since 2012 or 2013, though. Bitcoin has been around since 2009. Back then, people could have done this without banks. It looks like you didn't make anything new. You're using technology that already exists. I love how he asks, did we do this? This is what we did. Man, everyone else did it. You came in after the fact, correct? Spot. That's a $1 trillion business with technology that's 60 years old and really high fees. As of now, if you have a wallet in either Canada or the US, all you have to do is send a safe coin. That's really cool. That's really cool. That's really cool. That's it. It's great to see that Mr. Wonderful agrees with all of this tokenization. Was he always in favor of crypto? I was having nightmares, and God knows where we end up when I have them. But I thought Mr. Wonderful wasn't as pro-crypto Linny, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, but I could be wrong. How through FedNow and Finastra, Ripple can get to FedMaster accounts in a roundabout way. Through Fedwire and FedNow, the Federal Reserve Master account gives you direct access to settle payments in central bank money. Don't forget that Fedwire handles around $4 trillion every day. This is what holds the American banking system together and keeps it beating. FedNow is meant to take the place of Fedwire, and it says that those accounts are very hard to get because they are only available at regulated banks and are subject to close oversight by regulators. Fintechs such as Ripple can't get straight access. I think Ripple will become their own bank in the end because of this. I have no proof. I don't have any proof, but if you watch 1,000 XRP or Ripple movies over the course of 5 years, you start to get an idea of what these people can do. Also, I wouldn't think too little of Monica, Brad Garlinghouse, Chris Larsson, or David Schwartz. I wouldn't think less of anyone on the Ripple team. Says, however, that Ripple gets access in a roundabout way by working with Finastra, which is one of the biggest core banking tech companies and works with the FedNow service. It says that the liquidity management tool, LMT, is the most important part of this. LMT is a part of FedNow that lets private fast payment services like Ripple send transactions through tech companies like Finastra and settle in central bank money. In other words, any of these banks could use Finastra, which is part of the FedNow system, to get to any of Ripple's main features. It says that FedNow is native to ISO 20022, which means that Ripple's XRP-based payment flows can work with real-time banking flows that are compliant. This liquidity management tool is what lets Ripple connect to U.S. central banking systems indirectly through FDN integration. Ripple services are part of the settlement process using central bank reserves without needing direct access to a master account. There is no way that you will ever have a bank account at the Fed. Okay, you have a bank account and your bank has a Fed account. It would be interesting to see how everything would play out if the US decided to go with a retail CBDC model. I think that everyone in the US with a bank account would have a crypto wallet created for them in their bank account. You could have your bank account, savings account, credit cards, or anything else. You would also need a stablecoin account that is linked to that method. That was really cool to see. We're not likely to see any of that anytime soon. Trump and Republicans don't believe in CBDC, which means you'd have to wait and see if the person who takes over for Trump when his time is over is pro-CBDC. If so, what would that look like? We'll talk about that after we get there. Okay. Also, this is pretty much all the stuff I just went over. I don't need to read it again. It will show up on the screen. You can stop reading now and read all of these juicy details if you want to, but the main idea behind what you saw above came from this literature. That's interesting. You can use Ripple, MasterCard, or Thunes. MasterCard has been working with Ripple for a long time, and this is both set up to work with Ripple. Then Versant says, Swift is dead. XRP has replaced Swift. They haven't said it yet, though. The system already knows, but the news will soon catch up. They have to get with the times or get left behind, it says, because XRP breaks the system. Okay. It says that Deutsche Bank made it clear in public that it wants to look into how blockchain can be used for trade-related things like payments, transferring ownership of assets, and smart contracts. It's not likely. That being said, any bank can set up its own standard blockchain network. Goldman Sachs, Credit Suisse, and JP Morgan are just a few of the big investment banks that see this. To help their own efforts, they are backing startups like R3 and CV to create uniform standards for blockchain and financial services. Quickly, before I read the rest of this, you know why big banks don't want to make their own blockchains, right? There is JP Morgan and Kenusis, but most banks don't want to take that risk. You need to know that all of this technology is pretty new. It's been around for about 15 years. It's possible for anything to happen. Hacks, bad tech, whatever it is. There is a risk to the bank's image if they use a third party. If something goes wrong with the system, they can say, hey, this wasn't our direct fault. You could have a third party look at it and say, risk is back on these guys. That's what they're seeing, too.